the welcome. I don't know if I can live up to the shoes. He made everything sound so great, but I appreciate it. Just going off of one statistic I just wanted to share first, going off of what Mr. Clark had said and some of the other brothers of St. Andrews. 2014 actually marked the first year that black men ages 18 to 25, there are more black men in a college or a university than in prison, jail, or correctional facility. 2014 is the first year that has ever happened. So, as we talk about, statistics and how black men statistically usually lag in comparison to their peers, and even comparison to black women, we statistically are far behind in college and university. 2014, there does seem to be some change in that direction. Mr. Richard Williams, had reached out to me a few weeks ago to come back and speak on this topic, and I think it directly resonated home with me as something I've always felt was true, in the sense of the connection between church and the community. As Mr. Williams had said, I grew up in Cambridge Heights my whole life, and my mom, seated over there, Miss Rosemary Williams, as a little kid, first used to drag me to church as a kid, and as I got older, I got involved with youth group, became the youth group president, and I'll definitely say that there's a strong connection between the church and the community. More so as I go in to talk about young black men achieving, going on to college, careers and such, one major point that I feel that the church instills is a sense of accountability. And we all know the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, that's what the church does. It's that extra community that adds accountability. And when you feel, as an adolescent, there are other people outside of your family that you feel accountable to, people who are watching you, when you're not only with your parents, you will do better, and you will act accordingly. I'll always tell my mom, I remember, being a teenager, most of the people that attend St. David's are from the Cambridge Heights area, and sometimes on my way back from school or going to school, I would be with my friends, my peers from high school, and I would often see members of St. David's Church, whether on the bus or on Linden Boulevard somewhere, and there were certain things that my peers might do, or when we thought it was cool to sag our pants or whatever it was, I'm like, well, I can't do that. I mean, she might tell my mom, but that's just the tie of church and the community and accountability. The fact that there were people all around in the community who knew who I was, who knew who Christopher was, who knew who my mom was, and I had that level of accountability from a young age of people who cared and watching over. So, in those years where it's very easy to get lost, I'm thankful for the accountability that the church instilled, which went with me as I went to college. Every time I came back home, whether it was on break, folks asked, how's it going, how's everything? When are you finishing up? Finished, came back, oh, where are you working? So people are always concerned and genuinely have interest in keeping you accountable for your achievements is a great thing, a blessing, and I'm thankful for that. As Mr. Clark had mentioned, currently I work with the New York City Guide Right Committee, where we mentor high school men, and I like to say statistically low performing and not the worst public schools, because I feel that if they have better tools, more accountability, and better mentorship, they will perform better. So I don't like the label of calling them the worst schools in New York City. And I think it's the same thing as the church and the community. It comes right back. When these young men have other young men in their lives who they feel accountable for, who are constantly looking at their grades, their plans for college after high school, they will perform better. And statistically, they have been performing better. I will say, when I was in high school, I was a little hesitant to become the president of the youth group. And my mom and Miss Lorna Moody Jones, I'm not sure if Miss Jones is here today, but one of the major things that we spoke about was the fact that there hadn't been a male president in quite some time. And as I mentioned before, this gap that we have between young black men and young black women, as we try to narrow that gap and both achieve on an equal playing field, something that my mom and Miss Jones definitely said I should step up to the plate and run for the position, and which I did, and I was elected president for the 2006-2007 year. I then went on to apply to the scholarship for the Brotherhood of St. Andrew, which I was very thankful for, and that definitely helped me a great way at my time at Binghamton University, studying for economics. Speaking of economics, another tie of church and the community, as most of you may know, it's Black History Month. Historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who's one of the founders of Black History, in his book, The Importance of Education in the Negro Community, often stressed strong churches and strong Black communities. There's a tie between them. When I say strong Black communities, strong economically performing. And I'm gonna give you another stat that was published in the New York Times in 2012, and it actually still applies today in 2015. Queens County, where we are today, is the only county in the whole United States with over 65,000 people. So it may vary for smaller counties, but when you talk about a large-scale county of over 65,000 people, Queens County is the only county in the United States where the median household income for Black families is higher than that of white families. Only county in the United States. That historically goes back to, we should clap for that. We should definitely clap for that. The article then went on to say that went back to the 1940s after Supreme Court legislature was passed, and areas like Addisley Park saw people like as Lena Horne, Jackie Robinson, and many of the affluent Blacks of that time were able to move into the suburbs. At that time, many of them lived in Harlem and Manhattan, and it went on to go into the 80s. A large West Indian community moved in and purchased houses in Cambridge Heights, Rosedale, Laurelton, and a lot of the areas where most of us are from. So I don't think it's just by chance that these communities here, Cambridge Heights, St. Albans, all that were mentioned in the article, have strong churches, St. David's being one of them, and there are strong families who have high home ownership rates. Mr. Williams had asked me a question as we go back to church and the community. You know, I've already shared my personal connection with St. David's and the importance I feel it had, but on a general scale of the community, if the church wasn't in existence, you know, what are some of the effects I think I would see? And just bringing home everything I've mentioned thus far, I mean, as far as the youths, he mentioned 31 students who have won a scholarship before. At that table, I see 2 people that was prior presidents of youth group as well. I used to be on youth group with me, and you know, a lot of us have gone past that age, and you know, now we're young adults. Without the accountability instilled in us in the church, the morals learned, which we carried on with us as we went away to college and went away places where we were, you know, at that point, and far in sight and physical reach of our parents, of the community. You know, at that age, 18, 19, it's up to us to take everything that we've learned and that accountability that's been instilled in us from we were younger, and now take it on our own, and hopefully even instill it in someone else so they could do the same. I mean, without St. David's present or the church period in the community, in the local community, I'm not sure if we would still have that same level of accountability 24/7 and when we're away from the people who taught us these morals. So wrapping up the speech, I just want to say it's great to hear that you know, we have some young Black men applying and getting back into the Brotherhood of St. Andrew's scholarship, because it's a great scholarship, and you know, continue to close this education gap and this achievement gap that we have in the community, and continue to push for better statistics. And thank you to everyone that came out today, and this community who's like a second family, who I thank you for always instilling that accountability in me. Like I said, when my parents weren't around, when my mom wasn't around, and always pushing for achievement when I came home from school, asking how school was going, and just constantly making sure that I was on the right track. Because like I said, when you have people doing those things, you will follow and act accordingly. Thank you.